Hello guys, welcome to the Selenium automation tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be learning GUI automation, that is graphical user interface automation. So basically, we'll be learning using Selenium. We'll be learning how to set up Selenium in Eclipse IDE. And Selenium, if you want to know about Selenium, we can visit the site of Selenium, that is selenium.dev, and we can learn through the automation, through this documentation. It is overview, the component, and the details. Let me brief about Selenium. So Selenium is basically a functional and regression testing tool. There are major advantages of Selenium is that this is an open source testing tool that is totally free. You need no license to use it. It support multiple languages. That is, when you go to this download page, you can see that it has number of language binding package, that is jars, and it use in multiple operating system. Currently, I'm using it in Windows. It can also run in Linux and Mac OS. So one of the most important advantage of Selenium is it support multiple browsers, that it can not only work on Chrome, it can also work in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and multiple other browsers like Safari. So this enables the cross browser testing, that if I want to test any website like Swag Labs or Source Demo, I can test it in multiple browser at the same time. And this is also known as parallel testing. So if I test an AUT, that is application under test, it can be tested in multiple browser in the same time. Selenium can also integrate third party like TestNg. We'll be learning all about the TestNg, Maven, and all in the future tutorial. We can also integrate it with GitHub and also use offline. So the major disadvantages and drawbacks that also had like in Selenium is that it only support in web-based application. That is, web-based applications means if I just search Netflix or Amazon, so this is an web-based application, and these are web elements. You can see if I just hover over this category file or just this file, these are just web elements. So the multiple thing that the major drawbacks, the major drawback of Selenium is that it only support on web-based application, that is web apps. There is no dedicated support from it, like you can't say any dedicated support, but yes, if you using GitHub, you can get a support from there, and there are a lot of forums where you can talk, like there is Quora, you can also ask it from Quora, and a lot of other forums that you can seek help from. There is no reporting facility, like we'll be learning what is reporting facility, like what will be done, but we can use other third party integration technique like third party frameworks to use the reporting facility. Like one of those are TestNg. There is no image based testing technique, like there is no image testing. We have just seen that in amazon.in there are a lot of images, we can't just test the images. We can just locate things and find the edge and find the coordinates of this image, not testing the exact pixel and the clarity of the image. So this is a major drawback. So now how can we overcome this limitation? Yes, we can overcome this limitation by using some third party tool or third party frameworks, right? We will be using third party frameworks like AutoIT, CQD to test those third images, but not with more clarity. Yes, there is a reporting facility. I already told you that we can use third party frameworks like TestNg, and there are a lot of forums available, right? So we have got a brief about Selenium. So basically, Selenium is a functional and regression testing tool. If you don't know about functional and regression testing, you can visit GFG or W3 schools for testing terminologies. So I will brief you about functional and regression testing. So regression testing is like when a build is about to come, if this is our final build, if I just want to add another category on this thing, so we have to tell our developers to work on that. And as a tester, we'll be testing the build before coming into action. So that is like before coming to final build, we'll be testing a lot of things, like how it's, if I hover over it, how will it show, how will it open. So these are all known as regression testing technique. So in this tutorial, we'll be learning 5 things to just interact you, to just give your take your attention to this testing thing. We'll be using first test case. Test case is basically a case, a total file, or can be called as a list of tests we'll be doing, or the description of the overall test. So in the test case, using Selenium, the first test case, we'll be learning how to open a browser, how to open a URL, enter the username, enter the password, and click on login. We'll be testing source demo or swag labs for this thing. So in this case, we have seen that this is our AUT, that is application under test, web application under test, more precisely. And we'll be opening this with the help of our Selenium in Eclipse ID. And we'll be entering some username and password that is already given here for our testing purpose. And we'll log in. And we will see this page, right? So how to set up an ID, how to set up Selenium, how to create the build path and import the jar files, we'll be learning in the future videos. The first thing we'll be focusing on how to just automate or just execute our first test case. So I'm just using here Maven. Don't worry about that. We'll be learning about this thing. Let's create a package first and name it as login demo. This login demo will be creating, sorry, my mistake. They should be here in login demo. So in this login demo, we'll be using a class that is login test. The class name should start from capital letter. So here we can see that in the package of login demo, we have created a class login test, and this is the auto-generated method, that is our public static void main. So which marks the start of the program. So as we are using Maven here, we'll be using our Webdriver manager as a Chrome driver. Like if you want to open the Chrome by automating the browser, you should need a driver to open it. So we're just setting up these things. Don't think about much things. We'll be learning all the things in the future demo tutorials, or there will be a live demo about AUT. Here we can see that WebDriver Manager is under red, underline is marked as red. Why is it so? Because we have to import something to make it run. So just let me write this code, then import it. So as I just entered, you can see that there is an import from io.github.ponigarcia.wtm, that is a WebDriver Manager. So all these things we will be learning in the future tutorial. Now just focus on how I am just opening the Chrome and using our first test case. Here we can see that after setting up the WebDriver manager, I have told my WebDriver manager to import the Chrome driver and use .setup method to set up those things. What just it do, this setup method, is just check the Chrome driver version, that is Chrome version. As you can here you can see, here you can see the Chrome version, that is my version is 102.0. It will update the Chrome version here so that I can easily open. Now, as I have written the Chrome driver class and called an object driver, stated the new keyword, we can use the Chrome driver and we'll import another jar file from org.selenium so that we can use the Chrome driver. Now we have done these things, like this is the setting up of Chrome driver. If you want to set up Firefox driver, that I have already told you that Selenium can support lot of browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Edge. We'll be doing the same thing but in a different manner. So how we'll be doing this? That is Firefox driver. That's it. And we'll import Firefox driver from org openkeyword.selenium Firefox. Okay. So this is a way of setting up the Chrome or the driver that we'll be using for opening up the browser. Now, our second step was to open the URL. As to open the URL, we will be using drivers method because we have created an object of this Chrome driver class or Chrome driver interface, and we will be using Chrome driver interface sub methods to open up, do certain things. As you can see that there are a lot of things we can do. So we'll be using get method, and as you can see that it's load a new web page in the current browser window. So how can it know that we'll be using a current browser window, and what is the current browser window? So we have already set it up the Chrome driver. Now we can state them the URL, that is https this will open up the page in our current browser. Next thing that we have to do is that enter the username. So this is a bit a tricky part. We'll be learning all this thing, but right now, just a minute, let me log out here. So right now we will just fast forwarding things. Will be I understand that you can, like, it's going up on your head, but yes, you will be understanding everything. So we find the element by dot find element, and by using the locator xpath, and we'll be storing this in a web element so that we can use it in further nodes. And we'll import the web element thing. Now what we'll do is we'll be sending our username that is already stated here for our demo purpose. So in the first thing we have finded our, I just opened our URL, sorry. Next we have finded the web elements, that is the web element here. These are not web element, I told you in the first thing, in the first place. Now we'll be clicking on login. Now same thing, inspect, we'll be finding the same XPath and we'll do the same thing. Now in this web element we have stored the web element, in this code we have stored the web element in a web element type of variable, and stored in a variable like username, that is a web element type of variable, and sended our keys, that is our username and password. Next thing we will be clicking on the web element that is present on the page using his XPath, and we'll be using click method to click it. Now we have done this thing. So we have passed the username, we have passed the password, we have clicked the login. So what we can see is that we'll be seeing this page, right? And then we will close our browser, right? So driver dot close, done. So for seeing purpose I am using a wait here. This is an hard wait, this should not be there, but still this for experiment purpose we can use it. Okay, so passing, okay, now storing the web element, username and password, typing the username and password, clicking the login button, and finally closing the browser. So we'll save it and we'll try to run it. Now we can see that this code will automatically launch the web browser. So we have tried locked out user, so that's actually a wrong thing. You should use a standard user, right? Just a minute. Actually, that's the case for testing for not passing the value. Okay, standard user will be working. Open the Chrome. See, it's actually a bit fast. Let me do these things for you guys so that you can just see that we are actually passing the values and we are actually logging. Okay, now in this case, we are just passing the standard user, that is a username, waiting for some time, and then again sending the use password, and again waiting for some time, and then we are finally clicking on the login button and waiting for again sometime like 3 seconds, and then finally closing the browser. Let's just run this code. Let's see what happens. See, standard user already given, this password has given, this page has been loaded, and it will be automatically closed. So guys, this is the first test case we have been passed, like opening a browser, that is Chrome, Firefox, Edge. You can try Firefox and Edge also from your side, opening the URL, entering the username, entering the password, and click on the login button. In the future tutorial, we'll be learning about more in-depth details about the Selenium WebDriver, how the WebDriver or the remote WebDriver actually interacting with the Chrome. We'll be doing some Selenium suite and learning about Selenium suite ID RC grid that helps us to work on the multiple browser parallel testing, and we're learning about interfaces so that we can learn that how the Chrome driver is actually working, and there are a lot of other methods under this driver. Like if I can write driver, if I just write driver, there will be a lot of sub methods that have been opened, and it will be working, and we'll be learning on this thing, and that will be a total tutorial about this thing. There will be a lot of series of videos if you just stick to the point. Now, in this case, we have learned that how to run a test case, how to design a test case, and how to run a test case. So this is just for the interaction of the web element. This is not the final thing. It will not the way we'll be learning. We'll be learning in depth details over things. So once again, welcome to SDET QA automation. If you guys are fresher to test automation, we'll be learning Selenium, that is for use, that is been used for like past 10 years and 5 years for GUI, that is a graphical user interface automation, and we'll be learning SOAP UI for API testing in the future. Thanks a lot, and if you just find it very useful, do share it with your friends and colleagues so that they can also learn from you side by side, and like. So finally, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like on this video. So see you in the next video and next tutorial.